La salud de Togi acaba de empeorar. Yo no sé cómo está vivo este hombre.
If I'm chilling or nah. And so the answer, it's nah. Togei was calling me out. He wants me to go over his blood work. He's asking me, please, let me know.
Va a ver la analítica de Togi.
Can you send me all your blood work? I need to make a video. It's not looking good. We all care about Togei's health, and yes, I understand he's doing it to himself. The recreational drugs, the smoking, the drinking, the using steroids, but we still don't want Togei to die. We've gone over all of his blood work. It took several days. And prior to going on performance-enhancing drugs, it already wasn't looking good for Togei. And so prior to this, he's already born with something known as thalassemia trait, as well as he had elevated levels of...
La prolactina ya también la tiene alta. Busquemos en Google lo que hace tener la prolactina alta. Eso también puede ser que tenga ginecomastia con eso, ¿no? La prolactina alta significa que los niveles de esta hormona en sangre son mayores de lo normal. Esto puede tener consecuencias en la salud reproductiva y sexual, como disminución del deseo sexual, disfunción eréctil y pérdida de masa ósea. Empezamos bien.
As well as his creatinine.
Empezamos bien. Ahora la creatinina. Vale, la tiene al límite.
Creatinine levels, they were already elevated for someone who wasn't even on steroids. And so...
O sea, la tenía alta sin tomar química. Madre mía, cómo la tendrá ahora.
If you take 100 people, Togei would be probably the worst person to take steroids. We all are born with the genetic predisposition to use steroids, and it has already caused irreversible...
Es que el problema de este tipo es que no solo toma química, o sea, anabolizantes, toma todo tipo de mierdas.
First blood work, his testosterone levels were just below 500. And so had he have not been using alcohol, recreational drugs, and so on, his testosterone levels would have been significantly higher. ¿No? And what does that mean? He could have built a significant amount more muscle while being 100% natural. And so because he drank, partied, used alcohol, it caused him to have a much more difficult time to build muscle. And so the first thing he could have done, stop partying, and you will in fact build more muscle. And so his baseline creatinine levels were 1.27. If it goes up from there, it's showing damage. And so after his second cycle, his creatinine, it's 1.37. You may not think
la creatinina hay que mirarla,
that's much, but it's already up by 8%. And so to have an 8% increase on your creatinine score, you're losing about 8% function. Think of it like that. And so imagine if every year you lose 8%, in 12 years, you've lost almost everything. This is a young man. He's in his early 20s. And so despite being on only HRT, his kidney function, it's worse than ever. We may very well be looking at a guy who several years from now is going to need kidney dialysis.
Hostia, ¿en serio? Te diciendo que si sigue así, el Togei necesitará diálisis para los riñones en el futuro.
And or a kidney transplant in
order
to survive. Togei, you got to stop. It's not worth it. And on his most recent blood work, remember he's only on HRT. These are very low doses, perhaps 250 milligrams a week. His Cystatin C, which is an excellent marker to determine his kidney function, it's elevated.
Vamos, la cistatina esta determina la función, o sea, cómo están tus riñones.
Most people on HRT.
Y está elevado, vamos bien.
They wouldn't have an elevated Cystatin C score. For example, Coach Greg, mine is not elevated, and I abuse steroids for over 10.
Y se supone que ahora está tomando nada, 250 a la semana, dicho, de testosterona.
And years, but Togei, who's in his early 20s, it's already elevated. And remember, Togei...
Claro, es que el problema es que él ha tomado química durante poco tiempo, relativamente poco tiempo, un par de años, pero lo que ha tomado ha sido una locura. Mezclado con alcohol, otro tipo de sustancias, bueno, ya sabéis, ¿no? De fiesta y tal, y ese es el problema. Está reventado.
All of his blood work, and so we're doing a complete deep dive. And remember that night where he overdosed on Addies laced with meth, the night he almost died? Well, he sent his blood work from then. His creatinine, and get this, 1 point.
Madre mía, la creatinina, tío. En un 80, esto está diciendo que el hígado, que los riñones están jodidos,
8. And so this event, it marked an attack on his kidneys. This is something that causes permanent damage to your kidneys. There is no going back. If you continue to do this, it gets worse, it gets worse, it gets worse. Eventually, it's over. And so Togei, who is abusing steroids, using recreational drugs, drinking, smoking even.
Que fuma, se droga, toma química.
how much more can his body withstand? When you experience an acute kidney injury such as this from nephrotoxic drugs, it causes permanent damage to the kidneys. There is no going back. Hopefully Greg sees that and let me know if I'm chilling or nah. And so the answer, it's nah. Togei was calling me out. He wants me to go over his blood work. He's asking me, please let me know. How bad is it? Togei also trying to keep a light heart of this. Remember, this is very serious, but we're trying to keep it lighthearted. I told y'all if I just waited out, the clap dips. Doucette don't know none about that. He goes to a doctor to get rid of STDs. I just manifest them away. And so here's the thing. Togei, he probably still has chlamydia. I'm sorry, but
¿Todavía tiene la Chlamydia?
urinalysis, it's not 100% effective. And so unfortunately, the gravity of the urine, it was much lower than on the previous test. And where the molecules for chlamydia are so small, it's impossible to say for certain that he's gotten rid of his chlamydia. And so Togei, keep it wrapped up. As remember, if you do in fact have chlamydia, you can take a one-time dose to get rid of it. And so is it really worth it? I mean, why not just take the medication? And so why don't you just take the 1 gram of azithromycin and be done with it? Is it not worth it to you, your partner, and others? And so unfortunately, that original urinalysis, it wasn't an 100% effective test for chlamydia. What he could have gotten was an NAAT to determine whether or not he actually...
No, que tiene una ETS y ya está, sí, sí. Pero yo quería ver si me había más de la... Esto es lo que yo quería ver. El test de sangre. Esto es el conteo de glóbulos rojos.
Notice how it's in red? I don't know about you, but if I'm in a burning building and the alarm goes off, it's an alert.
Fire! Oh my goodness! What's the procedure?
When it's an alert, you get out as fast as possible. And so if you get an alert, this is a medical emergency. Do something about it.
What's the procedure?
Stay calm! And so in Togei's case, I do believe he has this alert because he has thalassemia trait. And so what happens with thalassemia is your body doesn't make enough HbA. It makes, however, more HbA2. HbA is better equipped at making oxygen, carrying oxygen. And so he has less of that, less ability to carry oxygen. And so,
Hostia, lo que le ha salido alto es la HbH, que es la HbA, que es la que es encargada de transportar el oxígeno. Hostia, tío.
So the body then compensates by having more red blood cells which carry the oxygen. And so his red blood cell count, it's through the roof. And it's sounding the alarm.
Yo me quiero hacer una analítica pronto también.
Alert. If he didn't have this and had this alert, it would be a medical emergency, but it is in fact explained from him having thalassemia trait. This is why I have
El estradiol otra vez lo tiene alto, tío. Me cago en mi prima, tú.
I know his estradiol level.
Otra vez, claro. El estradiol era lo que te producía la ginecomastia, ¿no? A ver. Sensible alto en hombres, si era eso. Por eso tiene las brevas que tiene, ¿sabes?
45.8. As you know, testosterone converts to estrogen, and so because he's taking too much testosterone, a lot of it's converting to estrogen. Estrogen is leading to him having gyno. And so remember, going back to his blood work prior to when he was taking performance-enhancing drugs, his estradiol was only at 24. And so it's about double. And so what do you expect to happen? You can't just mess around with your hormones and play God and expect nothing bad to happen. And so next, Togei's claiming natty test levels, and he squares it off in red. 1122. It might feel to Togei that he's natural, but these are through the roof. No normal person has testosterone levels of 1100. Well, perhaps 1 in 1,000, but most people not going to have testosterone levels that high. And so,
bueno, tiene unos niveles de testosterona más o menos de tomar el doble de la cantidad que tendría que tomar una persona que está en TRT, ¿vale? O sea, un TRT son 125 a la semana, pues él estará tomando 250 a la semana, ¿vale? Por eso tiene la testosterona más alta. No, 250, 500, no creo que 500. No creo que 500, pero podría ser 500 también, ¿eh?
So what he's doing is he's overdoing his HRT. These are not...
Ve, lo que está haciendo es exagerar su terapia de hormonal sustitutiva. Claro, está mintiendo, está tomando más de la cuenta.
Replacement doses, these are super physiological. And so he needs to lower his dose. Whatever he's taking right now, perhaps take half. And so one further recommendation.
Quizá tenga que tomar la mitad, lo que os he dicho yo ahora mismo.
And honestly, in my opinion, is this not negligence? I mean, is Togei not looking for the best care humanly possible? And so if you get this type of result, do you not want the doctors to then recommend the appropriate
El Togei da igual a los médicos. El Togei hace lo que le da la gana. Si está reventado.
testing to diagnose what you may or may not possess? Imagine, if you go to the doctor and you have some certain illnesses, you're not feeling well, and the doctors don't do the test. And later, 6 months later, you go back to the doctor experiencing horrible fatigue, problems. The doctors then do the test, and guess what they find? Stage 4 cancer. That's what happened to my sister. Would you want this on Togei? He's not getting the appropriate testing, and then if you test them and it's too late, what then? You want the doctors to test you right now. Now, in Canada, with free healthcare, well, they don't want to test everyone. Oh, that's too expensive. But in the United States, and when you're paying for it, you best demand the best testing humanly possible. And so I'm going to level with Togei straight right now.
Pero ¿para qué le van a hacer los mejores tests si saben que es gilipollas?
No. The HRT, even at this dose, even though it's a little bit too high, this is not the most dangerous thing that he's doing. And so here's a list in order of the top 5 things that I think are going to kill him. And so the first risk is cardiac
5 cosas que lo van a matar.
arrest, a heart attack
Tiene el primer riesgo es un paro cardíaco.
from stimulant overdose.
Por sobredosis de estimulantes.
Whether it's Adderall, caffeine,
Lo de tomar Adderall me queda loco, tío.
laced with meth, Adderall laced with
Mezclado con anfetaminas, ¿eh? Ah, de puta madre.
amphetamines, whatever. Perhaps it's
Ah, perfecto.
sniffing creatine.
Lo normal.
That is a very real risk for Togei. Remember, he's in his early 20s. If he continues
Y tiene poco más de 20 años, ¿sabes?
to do this, it's only going to get worse. And eventually he's going to sniff one line too many, and he's no longer be with us. Second,
A ver, la segunda cosa.
permanent
Por la que va a perder la vida.
psychosis from the stimulants.
La psicosis permanente de por los estimulantes.
If you keep doing this, you start going a little bit out of there.
No,
I was
lleva el bicho.
watching a woman going down the street the other day, and she was walking up to random strangers running by and punching them in the face. She was out of it. She was a little bit cuckoo, a little bit loco, as we'd say in
¡Loco!
Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish.
Eventually, if he keeps on going down this path, your brain, it doesn't make sense of the world. And what do you do next? You jump off a building, you jump off a bridge. I don't want to be here tendencies. It starts with an S. I'm not going to say that word. Don't want to get demonetized. And you somehow, you end things for yourself, if you know what I'm saying. And the third thing is
A ver, la tercera.
liver failure, perhaps overdosing
Insuficiencia hepática. Yo creo que antes le llega la insuficiencia renal, ¿no?
on Adderall, pills, narcotics.
Quizá una sobredosis de Adderall, de pastillas de narcóticos, lo que
You
sea.
name it, that can cause permanent damage and you're gone within a month. And number 4, kidney failure. Now,
Insuficiencia renal, claro. Teniendo los valores tan alterados, claro que sí.
because fortunately, he could still get dialysis. And so kidney dialysis could keep him alive, as well as a kidney transplant. We're talking about kidney transplants and dialysis, and that's number 4 on the list. This is not even the top tier. Imagine if I told you, hey, you're at risk of needing kidney dialysis, right?
Imagínate con 20 y tantos años por hacer el subnormal, tener que meterte en diálisis, tío. O sea, tener que estar haciendo diálisis. Es que es tan triste.
There, it's done. It's over with. I don't need to hear the next thing. That is enough to make me want to stop. And number 5, this is the lower tier risk, a
Este es el nivel de riesgo más bajo.
stroke or heart attack.
Un derrame cerebral. Que el riesgo más bajo tomando todas las mierdas que tomas de un derrame. Me parece a mí que el riesgo es alto también, ¿eh?
This is low tier risk for Togei. To die of a heart attack and or experience a stroke. Imagine if I told you that, hey, one of the lower risk factors you have is to have a heart attack or a stroke. Are you going to take that risk? And so if he continues to sniff creatine, use recreational drugs, abuse steroids, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, what do you think is bound to happen? Yeah,
Lo que tiene es que es muy joven. Si fuera más mayor, estaría ya.
he's young and healthy-ish right now. He's in his early 20s, and if he were perhaps 62, he'd be thinking, oh, it's not too bad. I mean, he made it into his 60s, and he still has most of his health intact, but he's in his early 20s. Continues this, the damage is going to compound, just like the interest when you put it into the bank, it's compounding interest. This is compounding damage to his kidneys, liver, heart, everything. He needs, as in Joey's words,
Que ya tiene tocado los riñones.
he needs to do better.
You need to do better.
And number 6, chlamydia, because perhaps
Y number 6, la clamidia. Pero es que lleva con la clamidia como 2 años, ¿eh?